Welcome to the Run Your Day podcast, a show dedicated to helping you expand your capacity, take your life in every area to an entirely new level, and creating a day and a life by design. Here's your host, Dan Hafner. Hey, what's up, everyone? Welcome back to another episode of the Run Your Day podcast. As always, your host, Dan Hafner here, the founder of Runwage and creator of this podcast. Today's topic is this, the 25-cent problem. Interesting, right? As always, appreciate you guys joining, and I apologize for any background noise here as I'm trying to manage two dogs playing and being crazy while I'm doing the show. But hey, such is life. So, here we go. All right, so this is what happened to me yesterday, and I just wanted to share it because I immediately knew that this was a great topic to share with you guys. So it's a very simple parable, very simple tale. Yesterday, we needed groceries, so I was going to the store. I actually was going, one of the closest grocery stores to where we live right now is actually an Aldi. It's like 5 minutes from our house. I know Aldi is polarizing to some people. Judge me if I go there, if whatever, it's cheap, I get it. I wanted to go there, get a couple of things, whatever. So I show up there, and actually I'm on my way to the store, and as I'm like, I don't know, about a minute away from my house, I think, oh wow, shit, like I don't have a quarter. Like if you've ever been to an Aldi, they have like the self-return carts, right? Where you put a quarter in and it unlocks the cart outside, and then you take it and then it stays in there. The quarter's like locked in there while you shop. And then when you're done, you bag up all your own groceries and then you take them to your car, you put the cart back and you get your quarter back. So you almost have like a deposit to not, to use the cart. So I start going through my center console in my car and I have like $10 in change in there and not a single freaking quarter. I don't understand how I have so many dimes, nickels, pennies. Like, I don't even know where they all come from. I don't buy that much stuff with cash. Like, I'm like, wow, I got freaking $20 worth of change in my car. Not a single quarter. Like, I shit you not a single quarter, right? So this is where the interesting part happens. I start to go through all these scenarios in my head, like, well, shit, should I turn back? Should I go get one? Or should I try to bum one off of somebody when I get there? Or should I go in the store first and, take a couple dimes and a nickel and see if the store will exchange me for one, or just maybe try to bum a quarter off the cashier, or like, what am I going to do, right? Like, how am I going to figure this out? So as you can see, what was going through my mind was all of these stories, all of these different, like, what if scenarios, right? Like, oh shit, like maybe I'll figure it out this way, or maybe I'll have to do this. And my mind is creating these scenarios as I'm going through. And it's a simple freaking problem. It's a damn quarter, for crying out loud. It's a quarter, right? So what happens when I get there? I pull I get my bags, I go in, and I'm like, okay, I'll just go into the store and try to bum one off of somebody. There was nobody out there. Sometimes when somebody's returning one, they'll just give it to you and they just give you the quarter, like whatever. There was nobody out there. So I was like, all right, well, I'll just run in. And then I look over to the right where the carts are, and they're all unlocked. Like, they're all just freestanding there. For whatever reason, they never really do that. I don't know if it's because of COVID-19 or what the deal was, but they're all unlocked. You don't need a quarter. The issue resolved itself. It was a non-issue, right? But what was crazy was my entire drive over there. I wasn't thinking about like the things I needed to get. I wasn't thinking about like anything else other than like this one simple problem, this one simple 25-cent problem. I was just like obsessing over like, well, shit, like, what am I going to do? And like maybe that's just me, but when I have something like that on my mind, I can't let it go till it's resolved. Right. And maybe you're like that too. But, man, it was just like when I instantly saw that cart and it was freestanding there, I'm like, wow, I created a problem out of nothing. Right. That's the simple takeaway from this. Like, I created a problem out of nothing. And in reality, like I caused myself anxiety, stress, overwhelm, just like worry for nothing. And it was a 25-cent problem, right? Like this is such an interesting thing because even though this is a very small, very simple example of this, like I immediately saw how this applies to us in like bigger facets of our life, right? Like we create so many problems either when it comes to money or when it comes to relationships or especially our bodies, right? Like we create, like we might think, man, like I really have, like I have the flu, or I have something really, really wrong with my back or my eyes, or like there's this issue. I just feel something wrong. And there might be something wrong. We can, we have intuition as humans to know when something is off, right? But maybe then you go to the doctor and after 6 months of just obsessing over like, man, like I really got to get this looked at, but I don't know. Like I'm scared to find out the answer. I don't really want to know. And then you find out there's nothing wrong. Like it's all good, right? And the saddest part about that is that you just spent the last however long, my example was 6 months. That's arbitrary. It might be a week. It might be a month. It might be whatever. It might be years, right? But you spent all that time worrying and stressing and expending energy over something that wasn't even worth your time. Like, this is insane. We all do this shit. And you do this in some area of your life. And that's what I'm going to challenge you to think about today. Like, where do you create problems that aren't real? Or like, can you think of examples in your life when you've done this? When you've actually been like, well, yeah, I kind of created that problem out of nothing. And it might not be intuitive. It might not come up for you right away. You might have to do some thinking, or maybe you'll notice it this week or this month. But, we all do this. And it's crazy. It's crazy to me because, like, even though, like I said before, like, even though this was such a simple example, like, I literally was obsessing over a 25-cent problem. Because, like, I'm starting to think, like, well, I wonder if I can jam a nickel in there, or I wonder if I can, somehow, like, if I have like some kind of Canadian quarter, or whatever. And like you start thinking of different like little hacks or ways to get around things, or ways to cover up, or ways to just manipulate what's going on in front of you, right? And I'm sure as I'm talking about this, you can kind of relate this to bigger areas of your life, because man, like this was just such a perfect little example. When I saw it, I was like, dude, I got to talk about this because this shit is real. This happens to all of us, and it's such a tragedy. Like, it's such a tragedy when you just waste so much time. Like, I used to do this with, especially inside of my marriage. Like, I used to just think to myself, man, like my wife is going to be so pissed at me when she finds out about this thing, or she's going to be so mad when she comes home and I don't have groceries, or I don't have dinner, or I don't have this cleaned up, or whatever the case might be. And I can just think of so many different areas across, the years we've been married. And I don't want to make my wife sound like a mean person. Like she doesn't just like flip out. She's not like a terribly mean person. She's a very nice, very, very nice person. But like, you know what I mean? Like there were situations over the years where I've just like created like this anxiety out of nothing. And man, like the best way I can find to combat this is just through like the simple process of stopping and just saying like, am I really worrying about this? Is this an actual worry, or is this something that is easily overcomable? Is that a word? Overcomable? Maybe. I don't know. I'm going to use it anyway. Is this figure outable, right? If it is, it's like, okay, you put it down, you worry about it later. And this is an art. Like, clearly I'm still perfecting this too. Like, I was just, when I think back about it, I was like, I don't know what was going on in my mind, but it was just like, man, like I was so freaking obsessively stressed about this quarter. I was like, I don't know what the hell I'm going to do. And like, and I started regretting not going back to my house to get it. And you can just see how this cycle goes, because when you start obsessing and worrying about bigger things in your life, that's when the real mental energy gets zapped from you. And that's when you really start to experience a level of anxiety that's just completely unhealthy. And I've been there. Clearly I'm still there at some level, which is okay. Like it's okay. And if you feel that too, like, you know what? That's just where you're at. That's where you're at. And it's at least that you recognize that, you can then climb your way out of that, right? Through this process of thinking, okay, is this really something I need to be stressed about? Is this really something that is an actual problem, or am I just making up this story, right? That's the key. Am I making up this story, right? So, and again, I'll repeat the question for you. Just think back on your life, or think back on recent times in your life where this has happened to you and you've caused yourself an unnecessary level of anxiety and stress when it was completely unfounded. Because you can almost sit back and laugh now, right? All right, everybody. Well, that is all for today. As always, I appreciate you guys listening into the show. Really no updates for you other than that. Just, especially with all this stuff going on, like this is a really key thing to start implementing in your life. Is just really analyzing the fake stories you're telling yourself and recognizing the unnecessary level of anxiety you're giving yourself, right? Okay, everybody. Well, that is all. As always, head over to runyourdaypodcast.com for more information. Got a couple cool announcements maybe coming next week for you, but I don't want to spoil anything right now. So, as always, I appreciate you guys joining. Dan Hafner signing off. Make it a great rest of your day. Hey, have you ever thought about joining a virtual run challenge? As COVID-19 continues to upend our lives and change our life routines, finding fresh ways to challenge yourself physically can be difficult. I know I'm having trouble with that. It can also be pretty hard to connect with others and find accountability partners for the purpose of fitness as well. That's why we created Runwage Virtual Challenges. Runwage Challenges are a new and exciting way to stay physically active and maintain social distancing. Every challenge takes place 100% online, and you can compete against and engage with runners from all over the world. Best of all, they are the only virtual challenges out there which actually reward participants with real cash. That means you have no excuse for staying inactive during this pandemic. So if you've been looking for a fresh and interesting way to stay active and get your miles in, go to runwageapp.com/virtual challenges to join me and the diverse community of runners already competing. That's runwageapp.com/virtual challenges. Can't wait to see you there.